the shooting. But on Monday, I promised that we would readdress you on Wednesday. And since me addressing you on Monday, I have spent a tremendous amount of time at the shooting scene, in the streets subsequent to the shooting scene. And we have made great progress, of which I really wanted to share with you. However, the lead assistant state attorney on this case, Tom Bakkedahl, has instructed me that we're not going to share that information, and there are reasons for that are more legal than anything else, and he's here to tell you why. But I want to share that we are making progress. We have had witnesses come forward, and those of you that were out there this morning with us saw what we were doing today at the scene itself, and we actually recreated the entire scene from start to finish this morning and have developed great information from that. So without further ado, Assistant State Attorney Thomas Bakkedahl.
Thank you. Good afternoon. For the record, Thomas Bakkedahl, Chief Assistant State Attorney, 19th Judicial Circuit. I want to start off by saying every healthy democracy is dependent upon a free flow of information between the government and its people, and nobody respects that more than me. Those of you I know from the media know that I'm frequently available for comment and I provide information. I think that that's my job and my responsibility, and I respect the Fourth Estate and your role in communicating what your government's doing to the people. So I start my comments off predicating it with that. Let me say to you that your state attorney is the chief law enforcement officer in the circuit. The end results of any criminal investigation that occur within the 19th Judicial Circuit fall at the feet of the state attorney. This case is no different. This case is an active, ongoing criminal investigation. As a result of that, certain rules must be abided by. As having the ultimate responsibility for this investigation, our number one concern is that there is integrity and that we ultimately are able to uncover the truth. The foundation of the criminal justice system rests upon the truth and the search for the truth. And to the extent that we retard or impact our ability to obtain the truth in this investigation, the outcome will not be justice for anyone. Not for the victim's family, not for the law enforcement officers. So as a result of that, I have asked, maybe I've instructed, the sheriff not to communicate with anyone regarding the facts of this investigation. And now let me explain to you why that's so important, because I know everybody wants to know. As I'd indicated to you, the foundation of the criminal justice system is the truth. Where this investigation leads us, I have no idea, but we will go where it leads us. And if at the conclusion of this investigation criminal charges are warranted, then what I must then do is provide witnesses to back up that prosecution, and those witnesses will appear in court. And if a witness is on the witness stand and recounts something he or she said he or she saw during this incident, and they're subject to attack from a criminal defense attorney because all of the information that witness has was released by the sheriff's office to the media, that impacts the integrity of my prosecution. That I will not stand for. This is an active, ongoing investigation. My office is involved in a parallel role. The state attorney's investigators are involved, to include our chief investigator, members of our major crime division, and myself. We are actively involved in the interview of witnesses. We are actively involved in directing aspects of this investigation. This is going to be a thorough, and as the chief of Fort Pierce said, transparent investigation. At the end, one of two things is going to happen. This case will be presented to a grand jury. And as things are now, we're having a great deal of difficulty in securing the attendance of lay witnesses. We're looking for witnesses. I've seen the sheriff ask the community to step forward. We will now, through the state attorney's office, begin to take steps to compel the attendance of witnesses. I will be issuing subpoenas. I will be issuing subpoenas for people whose names I don't have. We will issue John Doe subpoenas. They will be brought in and they will be interviewed. I will then bring those same witnesses before the grand jury. The grand jury will see hear and be exposed to every facet of this criminal investigation, and at the conclusion, they will make one of two choices. One, criminal charges are warranted, or two, criminal charges are not warranted. And that ultimately will be up to their conscience and their understanding of the law. And then, depending, regardless of what happens, my file will be open to you. Every interview, every transcript, every video, every police report, every forensic report, the autopsy report, photographs to the extent those are a matter of public record, you will get it all. I'm just asking you to give us some breathing room and allow us to conduct this investigation in a fair, thorough, and competent manner. So that's all I have to offer. Don't ask me, Will, what about this or what about that, because I'm not going to tell you anything about the case, because it would make me look kind of stupid. But, yes.
Why aren't the names of the officers being released?
Okay, why do you need the names of the officers? Let me suggest this to you. Rumor, speculation, and innuendo is swirling on the internet. And as a result of that, some people have named an officer. That officer has now been subject to death threats and intimidation. Regardless of whether these officers acted justifiably or not, they are entitled to be safe, as any other citizen in this country who might be under investigation. We're not going to release their names either, because out of a respect for their safety, and alternatively, it could also affect the investigation. Let me give you an example. Officer X is the individual who shot. Witness comes forward, says, "Ugh, I know Officer X, I've known him forever, I saw him do the shooting and I saw XYZ. May never have known Officer X, but because I said Officer X's name, now that witness has information that may not be reliable." And it attacks the integrity of this investigation.
So at what point would we know what the officers' names are? When would that be released?
At the conclusion of the investigation. This is, if we were investigating a homicide and we had a chief suspect, I would never allow law enforcement to release that name. Different reasoning under that situation, but that might cause somebody to flee. An active, ongoing investigation, the information is held confidential. It's exempt from public records for a reason. Right? That's why you guys can't compel me to give this up. So you'll learn the names of all individuals involved when the investigation is complete, which would be at the conclusion of the grand jury. You can ask me how long that might take. That's an exceedingly difficult question. As I said, we're actively involved in interviewing witnesses. We're going to be bringing witnesses in under subpoena. We're in for the long haul. If this takes 6 weeks or 6 months, I'm going to give it as much time as is required to do it thoroughly, competently, and with integrity.
So just to be clear, the reason, it sounds like there's a couple of reasons why you're not releasing the names of the officers. One, for officer safety because of the death threats or whatever. And number two, because you think it could impede, negatively influence witness testimony to the shooting. Is that right?
Sure, it could, again, it provides information. You have to have confidence in the integrity of the information you're receiving, right? If this is a search for the truth, you want to make sure you're relying on truthful, credible information. To the extent somebody might gather information from a different source and then cobble together a story that might meet with the physical evidence because we've released all of the physical evidence, that witness is compromised. That affects my investigation and ultimately my prosecution, should that be where we end up. Do you follow me?
But just the name.
Yes. Why not? Explain to me how releasing the names couldn't jeopardize the integrity of the investigation. As I said to Lori, if you have, let's say I give the name of Officer X, and I've got a citizen who says, "Oh, I hate that Officer X." Right? Now that I know it's Officer X involved, I'm going to go tell him I saw Officer X execute the victim, or the decedent in this case. That impairs my investigation. Does that make sense? See what I'm saying?
I don't know, man.
Okay. Well, I'll note your objection for the record.
Okay.
Doesn't matter. You'll find out someday. You're going to find out. You're going to have it all.
You say one of the officers has received death threats?
I didn't say that. I said that there are rumor and innuendo as to who might have been involved in this, and that particular individual, whether involved or not, because I'm not commenting on the facts, has received threats. Yes.
But what's your reaction that one of the officers is getting death threats?
My reaction is anything that can have the tendency to affect the integrity of this investigation is my enemy. And so I need to protect against that. I need to ensure, again, the integrity of this investigation. That's all anybody, I think everybody, the decedent's family members, the law enforcement officers involved, the community, all deserve to know the truth, and they're gonna get the truth. It's just gonna take a little while, and you gotta give us some time to do our job.
I mean, in other officer-involved shootings, typically the names are released much sooner than now. I just don't understand, is this a change in policy, or?
No, the policy of the state attorney's office is always you should not discuss any of the facts, circumstances, or details of a pending active criminal investigation. I cannot control all the law enforcement officers and agencies in this circuit, so on occasion, that information is released quickly. Sometimes on the scene, I don't have control over that, right? But now we're conducting our own independent parallel investigation, the state attorney's office, along with the great assistance, and I want to say that I'm honored to work with the sheriff. He's providing all the resources possible. The Indian River County Sheriff, Darrell Lohr, has given us crime scene investigators to assist. We are doing a thorough and complete job. But overall, I can't control what happens in the hours leading up to our arrival and involvement in a case.
So, I guess for folks that are community leaders in Northwest Fort Pierce, or faith leaders who may be extremely frustrated and are wanting some answers about why no release of the names, what would you tell the frustrated folks in Fort Pierce?
I would ask you to go back to them and to tell those faith leaders to have a little faith that we're going to do our job, that we're going to do it with integrity. I don't think anybody in my office has ever done anything that should call into question the investigation or the prosecution of one of your fellow citizens. Everybody's entitled to a fair investigation. This is what we do. And if they want it to be done right, they've got to give us a break. Right? I understand they want to know. And they're going to know. Everybody's going to know. Everything is going to be released. But that's what I would say to them. I'd say the very integrity of this investigation rests upon our ability to do this fully, completely, and to obtain reliable information.
Okay, so just to be clear, the next step, once you guys have finished your investigation, gotten witnesses, got everything, I's dotted, T's crossed.
Yes.
You will present the case to a grand jury to determine whether they decide to indict or not indict the officers, is that
Yes,
correct?
yes, it has been the policy of this office that in any situation in which a law enforcement officer results to use a deadly force or utilizes deadly force which results in death to one of our fellow citizens, we conduct a full investigation parallel to and with the investigating agency, whether that's the agency involved or in this case the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office was asked to come in. We conduct our own investigation. At the conclusion, all of that information is provided to the prosecutor who's in charge of that particular grand jury, and it's presented to the grand jury. The grand jurors consist of 21 of your fellow citizens. They are provided with sworn witness testimony. They can review videos, transcripts, photographs. They can call additional witnesses. They can tell me to do additional investigation. They run the show. I work for the grand jury. And then at the conclusion of the grand jury, they are instructed on the laws in the state of Florida, and it is their job to make a determination as to whether or not criminal charges are warranted. And that ultimate decision rests with them.
Some people in the community might be extremely upset to hear that the names of the officers won't be released. I mean, do you foresee that happening? Do you think it might inflame people rather than telling them, oh, just wait, I'll give you the names
Right.
eventually?
Yeah, look, this is an emotional, very emotional, taxing situation. I understand people are frustrated. This country is in a state of turmoil. There's great distrust of law enforcement and the criminal justice system. There's nothing I can do as a single man, as a prosecutor, to fix that. I can only say to those people, reflect upon how our office, how the sheriff's office has conducted business over the years in this community. And I think we have always been fair and honest and open. And I would ask them to reflect upon that before they get upset and get angered. It's not going to do anybody any good to engage. Protesting is one thing. There's nothing wrong. Certainly support people protesting. They have that absolute constitutional right. But to get upset to the extent where they may cause them to act out in an inappropriate fashion is just, it's not good for this community. We're better than that in this circuit. This is not Ferguson. This is not Miami. This is St. Lucie County. This is a decent community where we live and we work together. We have our differences, but I think we can work it out in the course of this investigation. And I tell you, I'll stand right here in 6 weeks or 6 months when this investigation is done, and I'll answer all of their questions, regardless of what happened. I take that back, because if I'm actively prosecuting somebody, I can't get up and comment on the case. But if that's not the case, I'll certainly answer any questions they have about how this investigation was conducted.
I guess.
You got a lot of questions, Will.
Can I
But this
jump in
isn't
one-
about the
Can I jump in
Let's-
real quick with a different one, because we need to run?
Okay, all right.
The Tyler Hadley ruling that came out today, what was your reaction to that?
I'm doing a tap dance. I mean, I'm devastated. You know, I have spent a career, 25 years in prosecution. And when I sit down with a victim's family at the beginning of a prosecution, I say, here's how the criminal justice system works. Here's what you can expect to happen 4, 5, 6 months, 3 years, 10 years down the road. And they depend upon me and they take my word. And then we proceed down the road to prosecution and we get a result and somebody changes the rules in midstream. Now, I'm not here criticizing anybody in particular, but we've come to rely, the whole basis of the criminal justice system is this concept of finality, that we know what the rules are yesterday because they're the same today as they will be tomorrow. The rules changed in the middle of Mr. Hadley's investigation, but I will tell you one thing I'm very proud of. I'm extremely proud of how Judge Makeumson handled this. I'm extremely proud of how my office handled this, and quite frankly, to be fair, I think Ms. Liddy's office did a very good job in trying to work through a system in which there were no rules. The United States Supreme Court changes rules midstream and then gives us no guidance, and we had to act before a new statute was passed. And so as a result of that, we are here now, where I had to talk to Mike Hadley on the phone during my burrito lunch break and explain to him, we've got to do it again, Mike. And it made me sick to my stomach, because now who gets victimized? The victims, all over again. And nobody remembers the victims. So we're going to do it again. Al, I don't know what to tell you, because that's the way it goes. His options now are, very simply, 40 years in prison or life in prison with a review at 25 years. Every kid now who commits murder is going to get the opportunity to get out and walk amongst us. So this kid who beat his parents to death with a hammer, ×2 I might add, someday will have the very distinct real possibility of walking out of his prison cell and re-engaging in community. I hope that works out for us.
So again, the options for him is he's either going to get 40 years. Sorry.
Coffee back?
Yeah. 40 years or
Life.
but in 25 years.
Either way, at 25 years, they have a review, you bring them back. We don't know how this is going to work yet, Will. It's spelled out in the statute, but the court will look at, has he reformed, is he matured, is he no longer a danger, blah, 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 and then decide whether or not he can get out.
Are you going to ask for life?
Absolutely, I'm going to ask for life. And when they reverse it because we did something wrong, I'll ask for life again.
Can I ask one, just my speech in once? What's the response to Fort Pierce city leaders wanting the FDLE or the DOJ, someone else taking this investigation?
My response is I have the utmost and absolute confidence in the St. Lucie County Sheriff's Office. I have worked many big cases with them. They are one of the most professional criminal or law enforcement organizations that I've had the occasion to work with, and I've worked with them in the entire circuit. The community need not be concerned. And remember, my office is also involved in this, and we're doing our own investigation. We're doing it parallel to one another, but we're here in this together. So I have absolute confidence in them. I see no need to bring in any outside law enforcement agency, but that's not my call.
People were saying they were concerned witnesses wouldn't come forward and talk to the sheriff's office, but with those subpoenas.
They don't have any choice. They're coming to talk to me. And I shouldn't have to compel people to talk to me. This is, again, about the search for the truth. And if people have reliable, credible information about what happened out there, I need to know that, right? And I don't want to know it 6 months after the investigation's over. I want to know about it now. I want to know about it tomorrow. If they need to, I'll come in on Saturday. I'll come in on Sunday. We'll talk to them at their, leisure. If they don't want to be they want to be it known in public that they're talking to us, that's fine. We can work with them on that. But in the end, they got to talk. We got to know. We need help from the community. This is no different than any other investigation. Okay?
I'd like to just add a little bit on that also.
Let me have my coffee back, Sheriff.
Yeah, of course. I got a call late last night from a reporter saying that Reggie Sessions was going to demand, I guess, is the right word, FDLE to take over the case.
DOJ.
It's DOJ now
Yes.
to take
Well,
over the
that's
case?
what he told me last night.
I think he said.
He said he would prefer DOJ, but he would take FDLE as a second.
Well, you know, sadly, we investigated an officer-involved shooting probably 3 or 4 months ago involving Fort Pierce officers. No one once expressed any concern. That investigation was done professionally, thoroughly. It was handed over to the state attorney's office, went through the grand jury process.
Yes, sir.
Am I correct? And those officers were exonerated. So now, 3 months later, I don't know if his intent is that we are now incompetent or we've lost some competency over the past 3 months. So we need to call someone else in. One of the statements I saw him make was that the community, and I forget the exact word, is mad at me or something. And I don't understand if they're mad because the chief called me or the fact that I took her call. But I've walked the neighborhood the last 3 days, talking to not only residents, but anyone who drove by the street or the actual site of the shooting, and they all encouraged me to be involved in this investigation. And you all were here for the press conference that preceded this press conference, and you saw all of the positive relationships that this office has developed over the past 16 years as me being sheriff. We had the FBI here, FDLE, Border Patrol, DEA. Those are relationships that are strong, that are positive, and all I ever have to do is pick up the phone and say, you know what, I need help doing this, and this team behind me will be here. I have reached out to every one of our local, state, and federal partners, and their response is, Sheriff, if you need any help in this investigation, we are there for you. As of right now, the only help we've needed is in the recreation of the crime scene, which we did this morning. We've asked for the Indian River County Sheriff's Office to assist us. We have put the FBI on standby that we might need their assistance on some technical issues, and they are more than happy to get involved. But at this time, we are forging forward with this investigation, and I promise that at the end of this investigation, it will be complete, thorough, professional, and if my name's on it, the truth will be there. And that's what we're going to deliver, the truth. Just as Tom said, the truth is what we're looking for, and that's what we're going to deliver.
Is that pretty common to have the FBI on standby in an investigation like this?
Yeah. I mean, we've used, these partners we use all the time and reach out to them. So it's nothing that we haven't done before. Cases that gain national attention while I've been sheriff, the Escobedo murder case, the FBI came here and saw how we did that. Just recently, the Ricky case, FDLE is now using that as a model that they use. So we know how to investigate. I have all the faith, confidence in my team here. We're going to get this done right, and at the end, the product will be something that I will be proud to sign my name on, and it will be the truth in this investigation.
Are you guys going to have anyone at that special meeting?
No. No need to.
Yes, well,
Are you gonna go?
how
to
many
that
questions you
meeting?
get? You only get like 5, I think.
Oh, he always jumps.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. What?
Are you gonna go, are you gonna go to that, council meeting tonight, or the commission meeting?
No, we've provided, Mr. Colton has provided an outline of how we conduct our investigation, how the process works, and I think that should answer all the questions, because I can't get up there and talk about the details, so it doesn't, and people are gonna wanna know. And I mean, as this gentleman asked behind you, people are gonna wanna know why. And I can only say so many times, no comment, and you begin to look kind of like an idiot. And I do that fairly well, as you know, so I'm going to avoid, getting up there and looking like an idiot. So we're not going to comment on it, and I've explained why. So, okay, all right.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for listening.
Thank you, sir.